everyone, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel, What Cass Read. Today I'm going to bring you the best books that I read this fall. For those of you who have been watching my wrap-ups this fall, watching the TBRs, I have said more than once that my fall reading just got completely derailed. It got off to such a slow start that there really aren't that many books for me to talk about in this video. As a matter of fact, I only had 3 books in the entire fall season of, what are we considering it, September, October, November. Only 3 books in the entire fall season that were 5-star reads, but I'm also including one of the books in here that it was a 4.5-star read because it was just incredibly close. And this is me not counting the Harry Potter series. So these are the 4 books outside of that I read that were the best books that I read this fall. So the first book that I want to talk about, this is The Black Prism, written by Brent Weeks. This is the first book in the Lightbringer series. I have a whole spoiler-free review of this book up on my channel. So this is the book that I ended up giving a 4.5 stars to. This follows 2 separate brothers, Gavengyle and Dazengyle. In this world, they find themselves to be both in possession of this incredibly great power, and that's being the power of the prism. They are able to utilize all of the magic in their surrounding area within this magic system. Most people within this magic system are relegated to one form of magic or the other, maybe 2 different kinds of magic, but these 2 brothers find themselves in the power of both. And in the history of this world, they end up going to war with one another. One brother does prevail, and as we find ourselves following this story, we are like maybe, oh yeah, we know exactly, we're like 15 years after the end of the war. And it's kind of peacetime right now, but there's a lot of political unrest that we're just starting to get to know. Gavengyle finds himself to be the father of a bastard son named Kip that he did father during wartime and he didn't know about, and that's coming into play really heavily. So I did really enjoy this book. Like I said, I have a whole review of this on the channel. The magic in here is super complex. It's called drafting. It all has to do with colors. I didn't do a really huge explanation of the magic system in this video. I mostly just said that the 2 prisms do have the power to like wield all the magic, but if you're looking for a really complex magic system and a really good story, like twists and turns galore, I put this book in my best tropes video that I just filmed this year. There's a lot of good stuff in here. So this was one of the books that I read toward the beginning of the fall. It did take me a while to finish this. I did end up reading this both on audio and physical format because it was just very hard for me to get through some of my books this fall. So if it wasn't for the audiobook and the physical format, I don't think I would have finished this one in time, you know? This one, 4.5 stars, really enjoy this book, really recommend it. This was one of the best books that I read. Now this book is the first of my 5-star reads. So this is Lethal White, written by Robert Galbraith. Toward like the start of the fall, I decided that I was like maybe interested in reading some more mystery thriller detective stories, and of course I picked up Robert Galbraith's. It's been sitting on my shelf for a good while, is just a book that I've been meaning to get to, so I finally did manage to get to this, and I listened to this on audiobook as well. The audiobook narrator was great. So this is the 4th book in the Comoran Strike series, and Comoran and Robin, they've been hired to look into a plot within Parliament, and as that plot unfolds, then they encounter something kind of a little bit more sinister. The mystery itself takes off even like halfway through the book, because the first part of the book we're concentrating on Parliament, and then while they're within Parliament trying to uncover this, something else comes up and then it changes the whole trajectory of the mystery that they're solving. I really enjoyed this book. As you can see, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I'm just a huge fan of Robin and Comoran and their relationship and their back and forth banter, and this book, the first part of it, we have like the prologue chapters, or the first chapters of this book. They take place immediately after book 3. So we get a really good look at the events that happened. I don't want to give out spoilers, but if you read this book, you know why. But it was just so awesome to like get in both of their heads during that scene, that it's like I had been waiting and waiting and waiting to see what happened because of the cliffhanger ending that we got in book 3. So we spent a good chunk of time in the prologue exploring that, and that was just so much fun. So I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend this. If you're into the Robert Galbraith series, if you haven't picked it up yet, This one was a really great addition to the series. I really hope we get another book soon, but you never know what J.K. Rowling's writing schedule will be. This one was a book that I ended up finishing up within like 24 hours. It took me very little time to finish this book. I looked forward to it every single time that I had to step away from this book. So this is Furyborn, written by Claire Legrand. This is book number 1 of the Imperium trilogy, and it follows 2 young women whose storylines take place a century apart from one another. We follow Riel's past and how it affects the timeline of Elena in the future. Their storylines do connect in a very important way, and each chapter was like a cliffhanger of the next one, of the next one, of the next one, and there was just really no good time to put this book down. I would also say that Furyborn was responsible for reinvigorating my fall reading. This just knocked it out of the park with a total 5-star read. I do have a full review of this book as well on my channel, and I'm really looking forward to the next installment of this series. So yeah, I would totally recommend this series if you haven't started on it yet. I do hope to read the second book, Kingsbane, within the month of December. It's just something super exciting, and I'm really glad that I picked this up. And then the final book that I did rate 5 out of 5 stars for the fall season is The Queen of Nothing, written by Holly Black. This is the 3rd and final book in the Folk of the Air trilogy. I know I've said before that, like, objectively, this isn't the best book in the series. Is it the best YA series that I've read? No. Like, I feel like Furyborn completely is on another level in terms of the story. This is just one of those series that just, like, hit me in all the right places, and I'm just a complete fan. This whole series we follow Jude Duarte, who is a mortal girl living in the land of fairy. Her mother was brutally murdered, and her stepfather, who is a fairy, he ends up taking Jude and her 2 sisters to live with him in the land of fairy after he killed their mother. So she has been raised in the land of fairy, not really feeling completely safe in her station. Her father is a very important figure, like her stepfather is a very important figure, but as a human, she is subject to all the magic and the sinister tricks that the fairy can play on her. So that was really fun and exciting, just to see how Jude would be able to outwit some of the fairy magic. And so as we progress through the entire trilogy, she gains more and more power until we reach this book, and we don't quite know what her future holds. Again, objectively, the beginning of this book felt a little bit rushed. I wish we had a little bit more setup, but that's okay. I still give it 5 out of 5 stars because I was just so excited for this. I have been a fan of this series, and what are you gonna do? So there you have it, 4 books. Like I said, this fall was just such a struggle for me reading-wise that I was not finding many good books. I was struggling to make it through a lot of my TBRs and a lot of my reads, just struggling to find the motivation to pick anything up. But these 4 books were just some really great standouts no matter what season I would have read them in. How did your fall reading go for you? Did you have many winners? Let me know down in the comments section below. You can also follow me on my social media if you want to catch up with me there. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. It's at whatcassread, the same as this channel, so it should be super easy for you to find. You can also find my Goodreads links down below, and of course, you know how these videos end. Talk to you later. Bye.